Afternoon.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, better not complain. How about yourself?
All right.
Are they already remodeling? Oh, they got it locked. Oh, okay.
There's got to be somebody in there. Look at all these cars.
Next door?
Yeah,
there's
probably gonna be over the
Oh.
other side of the fence.
I didn't ever see any that announced anywhere, but that makes sense. The sense that being torn up, I think, maybe. They did mention that.
I don't know how we even get in there otherwise.
I don't see them out there either.
Maybe it's the A-frame there. Where is that on the inside of the... Did you guys go down one more building?
Yeah, it could be back around in the A-frame. They didn't say anything about it, though.
Nothing like switching it up to confuse people.
Yeah, it's gotta be right back.
Hey, I didn't say that.
Hello. Hey there.
No, nobody's in the building, so we're trying to figure out where the meeting is.
Oh, is it in the open?
I guess it's possible.
Oh, the door open.
Must be. The last logical place that we did not look.
Well, I almost parked over here. That's why I saw the door open. But I didn't remember that was the case.
Yeah, it wasn't announced as such.
I thought they said something about.
Would you like to sit?
But I didn't remember it being.
Yeah,
planned.
I didn't remember it being this
Yeah.
either. So.
Uh-oh.
Here, you can sit here.
Do you want to take this one up here?
I'll stand.
You can sit here. There's no more room in there.
Oh, there's a.
Looks like it's standing room only. That was a great idea. I mean, you know.
You gotta go find me a corner to stand in. I used to stand in the corner.
You must be baby.
Okay, we'll call the March 11th Kimbo meeting to order. And if you would, please stand for the invocation. Wayne, could you? Our Father in heaven, Lord, thank you so much for this day. Lord, we thank you for this community. We just ask you to continue to bless it. Bless us tonight during this meeting. Watch over us, guide and direct us, Lord. Lord, we give you the honor and the glory. We praise your name. Amen.
Amen.
We'll pray allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just tell them I'm here.
There's no more hair.
That's fine.
You can sit here if you want.
Somebody can sit there too. I'm gonna stand there.
arrangements. I hope we can make it all right. If we need to, some folks could stand outside this door here, but you know we're doing the renovations to the clubhouse currently. And so that's gonna take a little while, but we're making very good progress with that. Hilda, are you prepared to do the roll?
Yes. Glenn Hunter.
Here.
Tom Trammell.
Here.
Vonda Ackerson. Here. James Baker.
Here.
Judy Grimm. Here. Bonnie Blackwell. Here. Terry Boyette. Here. Judy Brent, two more Judy. Chris Harris. No, Tommy. Harris.
Yeah.
Okay. Tommy Matthews.
Yeah.
Wayne Sellers.
Here.
Charlie Thompson.
Here.
Did I leave anybody off, Lloyd? Did I leave you off? Oh, you're up here. Okay. Terry Hester. Here. Mickey Olson. Here. Vicki Sellers. Here. Bill Grimm.
Here.
Mike Conley. Lori Lilly. Here. Kim Coycroft. Here. And Dusty Trail.
Okay, thank you, Hilda. Motion to approve excuse members, board members.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Charles, second by Tom Trammell. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the agenda. Board members have a copy of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Charlie. Second by James. You get it again, or Wayne? Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, you have a copy of minutes, board members, from February. Appreciate you getting those out here. You weren't here, but appreciate you getting, I guess obviously the tape.
I appreciated having Charlie's video.
There you go. Okay, good. All right, board members, here, take a couple minutes, look over the minutes.
Has everybody signed the sign-in sheet? People behind me.
So, entertain a motion to approve the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'm not gonna say, but I might move forward. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the secretary's report, Hilda.
I don't really have anything other than the minutes to report.
Well, we sure appreciate you getting them out, because they were last minute, I know you were out. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move on into, President's report, Terry.
Treasures.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for correcting me on that.
It was beginning to
We'll go
wonder.
to- Well, treasurer's report, please.
Thank you. Okay, Seacoast checking account ending balance for February the 28th was $48,898.50. Our reserve savings account was $503.60. The CD account is $52,162.96. And our membership Seacoast account, checking account was $122,760.42 for a total of $224,325.48. Our CD matured last Friday, and we did not roll it back into our savings account. We went ahead and renewed it for another 3 months. We get a little bit over 4% interest, but that's better than it sitting in the savings account earning practically nothing. So that's in another account for the next 3 months. On the back side of your report is the P&L, and I wanted to call your attention to some things that are out of the ordinary on the P&L for February. If you'll notice under administrative expenses, there was $714.90 in bank service charges. We've discovered that we were billed some what we think are erroneous charges by the bank that handles our members' credit card payments. All of a sudden, we started getting billed these erroneous charges, so Charlie has got a call into them, and we're waiting to hear back from them as to what these charges are for.
What system is that?
Express Pay.
Express Pay, okay.
So, and it's just it just started in January, so we can't figure out what they're doing. There wasn't a change in our contract. There wasn't anything that we're aware of that would cause us to incur more charges, because the fee that they've been charging has been passed on to the member to use their credit card.
Right.
I don't know why they'd all of a sudden start billing us these huge erroneous. I mean,
Are they
we've got
pretty significant?
$900 something
Yeah.
over the last 2 months.
Okay. that's
And there's no
fine.
credit card?
So, you know, it's sporadic, so I don't know what they're doing. But we've got to call in to get it resolved.
I'm working on it with the company right now.
Right. Under legal fees, $200 and $250, that's the Jesse Crane litigation that's ongoing. If you'll look under Swanee County maintenance expenses, you've got $550. That was for the survey that was done by Brit Survey for Britton Park? Yeah. No, for the boat ramp park, right, for the boat ramp park. So that's the $550 for the survey. And then the remodel renovations charge of $27.42, that's what we paid Holly Electric to rerun the electric at Swanee Valley. Boat ramp park.
Was that the balance on that contract?
Yeah, we're done with that. All that's been completed. And then under membership, of course, we've got ongoing postage for mailing keys. That was $710, which was reimbursing Terry and Vonda for mailing keys. Under capital improvements, $300.
No, I'm not, yeah, reimbursing for actual money we spent on
Right,
postage.
right, reimbursing for what you spent, right. Capital improvements under park management, Vernon tore out some clubhouse walls over here, And then park manager's salary and taxes, we reimbursed Carol for monies that she had put out of her pocket last year and paying some of the state taxes for us on her credit card, $483. Anybody have any questions on the P&L or any of the reports for February?
Those are payroll taxes, right?
No, yeah, and what we owe the state.
Okay. Board members, have any questions of the
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
We have a motion from Charlie, second from James. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And in addition to that, I just wanted to mention that, there were 2 returned checks by members that was also included in some of those bank fees. $175 each on the checks, and then we were billed $24 in a banking fee, but Terry's in the process of getting that rectified.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. We'll move on. Terry, we'll do the president's report now.
Okay, we got 2 things to talk about. One is the fish fry. April 5th seems to conflict with a lot of people, so we need to figure out a different date for the fish fry.
Have you checked the dates, other than that date, that,
I was looking at like the 29th.
Or the 26th, but the problem is the large pavilion's already reserved for that. The 12th, that well, yeah.
That's the
And that,
catfish festival.
and the 19th is the day before Easter.
Right, that's why we picked the 5th.
Well, I can have it the 5th, I just can't help.
Well, that's not gonna happen. Change your plans.
And there's still.
Priorities, Wanda.
It's tight. My daughter's in ACC, that's very important.
yes, it is.
Oh.
Do you even see a window here? I don't see a window.
Is there anything on the 29th?
The
That was the
29th of
original
March.
date.
Yeah.
That March the 29th.
Do we,
I might not have enough time to get my seafood, my fish. We'll do it this month.
You have 2 weeks.
That's a long time.
Well, you make the call on that, Terry, if that's the case. What do you think? You not gonna be able to do it on that day?
I can call Burns and see if we can do it that day, if I can get the fish. But that's really not a notice to, a lot of notice to our members either. Be there.
That's very true. Well, we have a little bit of a dilemma then, don't we?
The 19th is the day before Easter.
That is not gonna fly.
What's the 12th? Do we have anything?
Do it in May.
Okay.
You said the 12th is the Brantford?
Catfish festival. That usually always
It
causes a
always-
conflict.
Yeah.
But
What about May? Do you make that? Is there a reason we weren't going there?
It's just we usually do it in April.
26.
It's available.
Change is good.
That someone has reserved the large pavilion for the 26th.
Oh,
I'm out of town on the 26th for a week.
May 3rd? Anybody have a conflict with that? It's open on
I'm
the,
available.
it's open on the treatment calendar.
Looks like we have it listed on the calendar as the 29th.
We did, but we already discussed it last time.
That was March 29th originally, and then we changed it.
Right.
What do you think, Terry?
we can do it May if you want to. It's good for everybody.
It's gonna start getting scarce around May.
Yeah,
Whatever.
for me too.
You're the president, so you,
Well, I can't have a fish fry, nobody gonna be here,
that's right.
especially y'all board members. I like to fish.
good for something, right?
When they gonna be there, you and I show up, you go fish.
Yeah.
Well, May 3rd is good for us.
May 3rd, good for everybody? Board? No?
No.
Okay. That's right, you're gonna be camping somewhere on the outside. Oh, I got you. Well, we're gonna have to compromise to some point here, folks, or too much longer.
Yeah, those way she made runs, you won't have to be able to help.
I just,
Well, may I ask,
We have 29th on the calendar still. for some
Right.
reason. So if we can get the fish, if we can find the fish, it'd be well worth doing that.
March 29th.
Yeah. It just means that, everybody's going to have to pick it up a little bit to help you get everything in place.
have to start fishing.
No.
Better start. March 29th, yeah, we're doing.
March 29th is good. So we're back to
you
the
on the
original
phone
date.
tomorrow?
I'll call first in the morning.
We'll find fish. All right?
Yeah, he just always has good fish.
He does, yeah.
And check treeco.net for the update. You'll update that once we get our final, make sure.
I'll text Charlie in the morning, see if.
Once you get the fish, we'll continue with the 29th.
Okay.
All right, so are we set with that then? Okay, so we'll, what else, Karen?
Nothing, I've just been getting a lot of emails from members about these short-term rentals, and a lot of them agree that they don't need to be in the parks.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All right, we'll move on then to the park manager's report.
It's like Groundhog Day on these dogs. I get complaints from members regularly. And I'm also seeing folks that I've already told many times that dogs are not allowed in the park. And, so that's continually going on. If members could tell these folks, I'm not there all the time. If they see a dog in the park, they need to tell them they can't be there. Now, we do have 3 parks that they can use. You know, you don't have to tell them they can't have their dog by the water. Either one of the 3 parks that we have. I know it's like Groundhog Day, but nobody seems, I had one recently say that, well, there's nobody down here. That doesn't matter. What if somebody wants to come or doesn't come because there's a dog down there, you know?
Okay, well, I did speak with the attorney about that, and so he asked that, we can't police everything 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you are typically working with some of the same people. So what he asked us to do is to go ahead and document everything that you can related to that individual. Of course, I know you have the GoPro, and you have an idea who it is. We find out who it is, we'll send him a letter from the attorney and to stop that activity, and then we'll end up putting it in court. Okay?
I have a question on the dogs, just because it came up.
Yeah.
Not a long time ago, but maybe a year or so ago, it was mentioned that dogs were allowed to come through the park to launch on a boat to go down the river and get out as long as they weren't loitering in the park. Is that still approved, or is it just camping and fishing?
You know, that's kind of a two-sided sword, because what's loitering and what's waiting down here at the river for 5 to 10 minutes
Right.
for somebody to
Right.
come
So have you
up.
just nixed it altogether on that?
Well, like I said, I get into a verbal battle every time I ask somebody about their dog, if they, that it shouldn't be here. I just recently had it from another person just a few days ago, and I like what the chairman's saying, we gotta get some teeth behind our rules. That's all there is to it. If we're not gonna do that, then the rules aren't even used, no reason to have it. So to answer your question, the way it used to be is if you carried your dog down there to get in the canoe
Right,
or kayak, that worked okay.
right.
But these people, people are bringing 100-pound dogs, they need to say they can't carry them down, but then they crap halfway down and don't pick it up. I've seen it, and I even question them about it. Oh, we're not like that. And then they have to run all the way to their truck and, get a bag or something. So these are the things that I see. mention what I don't see, you know? And I get members asking me about it, because it's not fair to them, they say that, you know. When are you guys gonna do something about these stupid dogs? We love dogs, but my God.
Typically, the dog's not stupid.
Well, no.
It's the one that's.
It's- And you know, and the thing about it, it's the same with all of our parks. There's only 3 parks that dogs are allowed in.
Right, and we have parks that.
And,
that are
people bring their, both Columbia Cut side and the Swanee side do the same thing.
It's more of a security issue anyway, because of gathering of, especially young children.
And I just knew a long time ago, it was talked about, it was allowed to let them get on the boat.
But we didn't wanna have a discussion on the, yes.
Just for new people in the audience, can you state the 3 parks?
You know,
Camping,
you're allowed to go to camping park,
fishing,
you're allowed to go to fishing park, you're allowed to go to Brennan Park.
and Brennan.
Those are actually 3 very good parks to walk out with a
Go
dog.
around all the way to the.
Yes,
So I think it'd be a great idea if the sign said that, like here, no dogs allowed, but you can take them to this park, cause I've been here for 5 years, I still didn't even know that, there were parks where you could have dogs.
And that's, you know, we've been talking about it for 2.5 years, that's how long I've been park manager.
Yeah.
And, I agree with you, but, you know, we got 1,000,000 signs up.
Yeah.
Nobody reads them anyway, you know what I mean?
Because once you get too many, there's signs.
You need to have more pictures, because.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All right.
Like the trails of the national parks, there's the picture pointing, you know.
Yeah, maybe we ought to have some artistic things.
Okay, let's do it. Yes,
I
ma'am.
would really like
Yes.
some clarity on whether or not you can bring a dog to launch. You know, like Bonnie said, because, I mean, there's a difference between loitering and just walking your dog straight to your vessel and getting on the river. I have a dog and I like to paddle. I like to paddle with my dog, but I don't want to break the rules, you know? So, can I do that? Where's the line? Because it's not clear.
As it stands right now, I believe the rule is that, and the board has approved this in a previous meeting, that you can't bring those dogs into these parks.
At all,
I
period.
don't believe they can, I don't
Okay.
think they can carry them down right now.
No?
Now, it's
Okay.
not- if we can find a solution to that, I actually feel it'd be nice to be able to take your dog on a
Right.
canoe or a board.
I
or
mean, maybe
whatever.
if a leashed dog
the
from the
problem-
gate to the river.
But the problem that we have is
The
from
1%.
the security aspect of that in dealing with that, it gets out of hand.
What if they leave them in a boat and back it down there and put it?
Well, we can't bring our boats or trailers on them either, so that's not gonna work.
Put the
But
boat ramp again.
a boat ramp, yeah,
Jim, go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Nobody's gonna.
Just 2 quick things about the dogs.
Okay.
We already had a committee
I don't
discuss
care.
it with the insurance company, and the insurance company is the one that's basically said, if we let a dog in the park, it bites somebody, we're not gonna have insurance anymore. Number 2, we've kind of toyed with the idea, but again, with funding to try to do anything is to make another launch point here outside the regular park. We'd still have to have a keyed access. But if we could just, off this side of, Otter Park, if we could just make an entrance where you could enter at your own risk, put your paddle and your dog in the river.
Well, you have,
going through the.
yes, you have this part, you have, Midpoint Park and you have Point Park.
Still gotta get them out.
So you still got to get them out. So that's gonna be the other issue. And those 3 parks are pretty much the busiest parks. Of course, the Swanee Boat Ramp's very busy.
And the other issue with everybody thinks that their dog is an emotional support animal. Well, you know what? When you go and get you a puppy, it is an emotional support animal. I don't care how people put it, because it's your buddy and stuff like that. But ADA does not consider an emotional support animal service animal, brass tacks.
Okay, we pretty much know where we are, so we beat it in. It'd be nice to be able to discuss a solution to it. At some point, somebody gets that idea that's good. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna kind of change the subject
Yes.
a little bit. I had a gentleman that I just met and he lives here and, heard that I was on board and I said, I'm not really, I'm just,
You could be,
alternate stand-in. But,
could be at any minute, you never know.
No, that's all right. But, he asked about the dogs that are running loose. through our neighborhood. They are driving him crazy, and they're, not nice, and, his children.
Carrying firecrackers and just real neat.
We worked on that, as an association this week with code enforcement in Columbia County. But we have no jurisdiction over the roads or private property. But we don't mind working with homeowners that are having a hard time getting through the bureaucracy. So we did assist and make some calls this week on a particular case.
Well, I guess his neighbor has dogs that are really terrorizing him. And unless he puts a lot of money, putting fencing up, his neighbor is not a nice person. So he's a little worried about leaving his wife and kids home alone. He goes to work. so-
Understood, that's kind of the sign of the times, maybe it'll change.
Yeah. But he asked if I would say something, and I have, and I'll tell him what you said.
Okay, sure.
Call the dog pound. Tom.
Tell him
Call the
what?
dog pound. They
He
will
has
allow
called the dog pound, and I believe he has called the police.
Okay, let me cut to the chase on this. The Humane Society won't have anything to do with that. It would be code enforcement, animal control for the county.
Okay.
And they've got 3 or 4 trucks and 4 or 5 people working in that
That's on the
office.
Columbia side.
So,
He needs to take pictures.
Not this one.
Well, I guess he has showed them the pictures too,
Yeah.
because he has.
right.
He's done everything he knows to
Right,
do.
and you'll have to navigate they've got some specific rules about 48 hours of contact time before they come out, so it's all, you can contact your county commissioner.
God
So,
bless.
especially when it's close to an election, that's the best time to do it. Okay, we'll, move on, Bill.
Yeah, replace the lock at the boat ramp that got broken. We also, filled dirt at, midpoint has been, we put some in, leveled it off really nice, and then 2 nights ago, or 3 nights ago, dug the same dang drainage ditch that it did before, so a member spread it for us last time. I'm gonna ask that member to do it again, Yeah, but I went down there and I tried to kick it in so it's not as bad, but everybody just gotta be careful, I guess, because, we got, it happens every time we get a super bad rain, not our regular rain, but I mean, when it does.
Inches.
And we've tried at parks to put berms in places like midpoint at the boat ramp, and that's worked wonderful. But there's no place to put a berm there.
Right.
There's other people's property on each side of our road, so we try to just keep it as we can. The boat ramp on the Swanee side, the electricity is turned on. I want to personally thank the members that crapped in the men's toilet before the water was turned on. Before the flip was still set on site outside. And it was several members. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah, really neat.
Did you get pictures?
Maybe. They just might.
Got some great hands.
Never know.
Any upper deckers?
But that is just, it drives me crazy. There's a toilet outside, and the thing is, it's not the women's side, they had to stand on the dang pot, because it's everywhere. It's not,
We're getting too graphic.
but I got a member that has, we pay him, yeah, but he's the one that had to clean it up, All right, the blessing boxes are put in the Kroger Park now, just like the one over on the other side of Kroger Park. We're over in Brennan Park, yes, the fence is down. Yes, people are going in their ATVs, UTVs and everything. I pulled as much of the fence back up as I could so they couldn't get in, and I put caution tape up. Somebody ripped that down. So until we get.
We're still recovering from the storm.
That's right, yes, sir. We were, and until, I just want to let people know there's barbed wire and everything in that fencing. And they're, got 2 young women just recently coming out of there. Barbed wire was stuck up underneath their golf carts. And, So,
Have we got plans to repair the fence? Is there somebody coming to look at that or do something with it, or?
we do have,
where we at with it?
absolutely.
Yes.
And, just like everything else, Wayne, it doesn't happen the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know the storm's been by. We have the same issues in Parksville on this side too, so it's not a park side issue.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I
we're trying
understand.
to we'll get to it, hopefully before seasons, which is coming up the next couple of months.
Yeah.
It's not a side issue, we got the same problems over here. All right, so that's it for me. Unless there's anything else. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna ask the board if I can purchase, it's a little pump, it's not a little one, 60 PSI. 600 PSI pump that hooks to a 40 volt, Ryobi battery, and I put a drum in the back of my truck full of water, so it sucks it out. I don't have to have a pump, don't have to have a water hose hooked up to nothing, and many of our parks do not have hose bib. And, for 2.5 years, I've been using all my own Ryobi tools to do everything. But this one here, it's $149. I'm able to use it as like a pressure washer after we clean the signs, or I clean the signs, or whatever. And also be able to clean other stuff that doesn't have any water level to it, you know. We can get it in a 5-gallon bucket, still use it. So, my request is to see if I could get one of those. If not, then that's fine too.
We can do that under the maintenance budget. Okay, so we'll talk about that, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else in your report?
I know, yes.
All right, anything, board members have any questions of Vic? Not maintenance report, part manager. Okay, Tommy, give us an update on maintenance?
Bill has asked me to put a couple of signs up, and so I just need funding for that.
And what kind of signs you need?
Need to get 2 of the same sign saying that campers need to register at tripo.net at our camping site down there. That way, we don't have the same issue we had last time where we had somebody just living
Homestead,
there. They absolutely were homestead.
I do have a question on the park stuff. Recently, a couple, actually 2 different members came to me, the other day and said, it could be rumor, could be true. The word in the hood is that a member is reserving a pavilion and then renting it out to non-members for money. Who checks to see if the people are at the reserved pavilions? Is this something we can add to Mr. Brim's checklist? Each pavilion, once rented, does it have a reserved sign posted on it with the name and dates of who belongs there? And I know there's an online reservation form to fill out, so that Bill would know who's supposed to be there. So is anybody checking on these things, or?
They're supposed to be sent to a board member anytime somebody signs up online for a pavilion, and that's not been done. It's not being done.
Okay.
So nobody knows who's in the pavilion unless you go online and look.
Well, it's during my season. Does go through, it comes through me, and I do get the person that's reserving as the person that has the key.
I was about to say, I've seen Terry check that a couple times myself.
Like I said, it could be a rumor, but it just may be.
I mean, if someone knows of something, they need to let us know
Right.
so we can check out.
Right.
It's the first time I've heard of that.
I've never
Said
heard
they
Yeah, and I heard it
couldn't
twice
have
in the same week, and I
Yeah.
thought, whoa, like, I thought, are they renting it for money?
But there's not a
But then
lot
I
of
heard they were
rumors, there's
renting
not a
it.
lot of rumors going around that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it might be something just to check on, just, you know, if you see
Absolutely.
somebody's there, make sure they're.
Yeah, it's something we try to keep an eye on, but we've got, we need to do a better job.
Monetizing.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that.
You're charging $250?
Well, I just put the number out of the air.
Yeah, we'll do that, we'll approve that through the budget.
Okay?
All right,
And we're coming along with the thing over there.
you wanna approve it? Yeah,
I would really like to add 3 more signs, one at Boder, one at Midpoint, and one at Point Park, stating what this gentleman suggested. Dogs can only be brought into 3 parks, and here they are.
New business, I guess, I don't know.
So, we have the sign says.
No dogs.
But what
Yeah.
we're gonna do, you're
They're
saying
already
is
not
that
listening to that.
Yeah.
an add-on,
It's
an add-on
on there,
where you
nobody
can.
pays attention to it.
Okay.
Maybe you need it in braille.
It was a hand raising hand.
Okay, yes. Somebody has a question?
I was just saying that they're already not looking at the signs that say no dogs. So why spend money on signs telling them where to take their dogs?
And I just said,
You know.
maybe you need it in braille.
Yeah.
Make a bigger
Like
sign?
they do in the fire.
What's the flesh for the board? What do you, yeah, we're about to sign crazy. If we could just.
Right.
If we could do it in hieroglyphs or.
Right.
pictures or something.
Braille.
In different languages.
Signs already, and nobody's reading the ones we have, and all the park rules are already on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And if it says no dogs and nobody's looking at it, why are we gonna waste money on it?
And
Right.
I wonder,
Yeah.
why don't we mark the map as you come in, one of the map signs or something? That spots where dogs are allowed.
We all live here and we don't need maps.
I'm for taking the
No, I
message
mean-
off.
Yeah.
Yes, please, please.
We know where all the parks are. We live here. Why do we need maps?
Every membership, we have the website, treepo.net.
For
You get a
renters.
new member.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then the old members can refer the new members to it, any that come through us.
Members
they have
ask
to
for
fill
signs
out
exactly like the ones up here, and that's what we got.
Membership,
Yes, y'all are.
I mean, if it's on a membership
So we need to circle
application,
those
I
out
must
with a
have
line
to
through it.
put to them, that this is where our bylaws, this is where, everything's here. But you can also pull up every park, all the parks, every park, that Charlie's put in there, we've got a picture of the park. We have the address of the park and all the rules of that park. And then we also have a set of rules that apply to all parks. But like, someone brought up like the boat ramp on the Columbia side, that you can take your dog through the park straight to your boat on a leash. That is allowed. So,
So
I mean,
I
all the
think
rules.
maybe just adding a dog with a cross on it for the parts that don't allow dogs, and a dog, puppy dog, on the parks that do.
What you got, Tommy?
Come on. Thank you, before, and I agree with Charlie, and we've got enough signs, they don't read them, and so, the other thing is.
The most important thing would be to have it on the website.
Well, exactly, and the other
You guys
thing is-
rely on that website too much.
The other thing is, it's only a small percentage of people that we have the same problem with. Once you advise people, like the people who are sitting here, that there's a rule against it, they're gonna abide by it. But it's the same people that test him constantly. So I would tell you, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And I would suggest that we just continue like we're going, and if they have a problem, we deal with it.
Do what the attorney suggested.
Does the parks, that they can walk in, does it say dogs are allowed on the sign? I don't read the signs either. But I don't take dogs in the park, so does it say that? Does it say they're allowed in those parks?
Yeah.
Fishing, camping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if you
Well,
put a
and
doggy
that
bag
had
station
hand
there,
up
they'd have
right
something.
here.
You got a question?
There's a
They'll take it home.
about-
They'll
I'm a web developer by
Steal 'em, is what-
profession. I've built thousands of websites for people.
Yes.
Nobody reads websites. Nobody goes, no, I can, that's unfortunate. It is.
That's
They
the way
don't,
it is.
especially if there's a rules list, they immediately ignore that. And someone coming and seeing with their dog that came out for the day and sees a no dog sign, they're just gonna straight up ignore it, because they want to hang out with their dog that day. But if there is a sign that says, welcome that way, welcome dog, they'll go, oh, cool, I'll just go to this park over here. Because, I'm not gonna lie, if I traveled somewhere, drove 4 hours or something like that, I mean, not that those people are allowed here, right? But, sorry, people like your friends
Another
or
issue
family,
completely.
You know what I mean? Friends or family come here and they bring their dog and they see the sign, they don't care, they're not going to listen to the sign. They're going to ignore it, because it's like, well, I came here, I got my dog, I'm bringing my dog in, right? But if there's an alternative, I think people will take it. People generally don't want to break rules. People want to follow the rules, but they're not gonna listen to the sign.
I
That's
agree
my
with you
opinion.
100%.
to that,
Sure,
they're not-
follow the rules, except for the people that constantly don't follow the rules. They already know.
Yes.
So let me ask you this question. Let's just say, for instance,
Sure.
we put a sign up here that says, no dogs allowed in this park. Well, it already says that.
Right.
Dogs are allowed in these parks. Where would we put that you think?
Right below that. No dogs, just literally right below
So
it.
it would
I can
actually-
print
it
it
would
up.
actually
Well,
highlight
it's $20 and I can make
He
one.
already said no one's gonna listen, so why would they go to a different park?
Well, because there's an opportunity.
Wait a minute,
there's
we're
an
not gonna have,
alternative. Right.
we're not gonna have.
They're not going to leave this park to go to another park with a dog.
Okay, we'll see. So what's the pleasure of the board? Are we leaving it like it is,
I
or?
think we need to, because people that know these dogs are not allowed in these parks.
They just need to know that.
Everybody already knows.
I think everybody knows what rules are.
Okay.
You get the letters to the
Like
ones
I said, I've
that
been
you
here
have a
for
problem
5
with.
years,
now.
I had no idea there was a park where you could have a dog.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We've agreed to do the signs that y'all asked for. We may revisit this.
Sure.
Another time, and I appreciate the comments. And I'm glad you learned something today.
I did. Me too. I can take my dog to a park and not have to leave it at home.
And I'm not saying that seriously.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, serious.
What did we agree to?
You get the order.
Leave it as is.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, new business, spring picnic. Cecilia, well, we've got the date, so what do you need? And you wanna talk a little bit about what's gonna happen that day?
It's gonna be $9 for the adults and, $4 for the children. And we'll start serving at 12 o'clock. And I'll call Curtis in the morning and make sure I can get everything in place. I've already went through all those stuff. One more of us got everything we need, so just the stuff I get from Curtis.
So is there gonna be an, this is the, members meeting, though, right? The picnic?
No,
It's not the members
This
meeting,
is
but it's
just
a
a
fixed,
fun-
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
for members to get together and then we'll inform people what's going on at the time.
Okay, so if any members wanted to speak about anything that day, are we have an open forum, or is it just,
We just,
usually just eat and talk.
It's up to Terry.
it'd be up to you as the president, so.
It is the fish fry. Okay.
I mean, I can answer that.
If somebody has anything they want to,
Yeah.
let members, because a lot of times they're there, let them address it at that meeting.
Okay, I can answer that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like somebody to get some signs out for me.
For the March 29
Yeah,
dinner,
so we
okay.
can have people there.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll move on then to, old business.
hang on just a second.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got a little bit to say. It's just questions and everybody has to answer them. I'm gonna read it very fast, and then I do have some old business too. So, new business. This is not to ruffle any more feathers. These are just questions that have been, that can be answered at next month's meeting. These were questions that members have asked me, although I did tell them they need to be directed to our president and for her to address the members. Members have asked about an audit. I know this is a touchy subject. The House bill that I passed out in February, House Bill 1203, passed March 7th of 2024. It states under financial reporting that we should have a audited financial statement, regardless of the HOA's total revenue. Before, it used to say anything less than 300,000, you didn't have to do it, you just had to have like a, financial statement. This one specifically says an audited financial statement. My question is, and like I said, we don't have to answer them now, I'll email everybody this, tonight. Is it reasonable to do a 2025 end of the year audit, since I'll be digitalizing and scanning in all the paperwork? Or would it be better to do a fiscal year October? So that would be more of probably a treasurer question. Like I said, just something to
Actually,
think about.
our year ends in December.
Okay, December.
The
Okay.
31st.
So like I said, I said I would mention it, and it is something we need to address with the new House bill. A lady asked me about online voting access in the future, so that would be something for Charlie to look into. We already discussed the pavilions possibly being rented out.
So no paper ballots, but electronic?
Well, it is allowed in the new rules. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, she just asked because she lives out of town and she, so anyways, I said I would ask.
Understood.
We don't have to answer them today. It was mentioned that members, no matter how many lots they have, should only be able to get one membership, 2 sets of keys, unless they prove they have a long-term rental. We already talked about the dogs. It was requested that if gate greeters are to be kept local to our community, that there should be a fair application process open for all to apply. This would obviously need to be fair and a lawful vetting process. This avoids nepotism and cliques. It was requested that there should be background checks on all board members and park management. It was asked how many original members do we have prior to October 7 of 1990. Deed restrictions say that as of these deed restrictions dated 10/7/90, all new property owners shall become members. I understand that the bylaws say that even if you're not in good standing, you still have to follow the same rules and regulations according to our bylaws. So I just said I would address that.
You have to follow the same bylaws regarding.
Right, yeah, so it's probably a very small number of people who don't wanna be members.
Right.
But, so basically, the only thing it would prevent is from them having a lien put on their house. They'd still have to, if they wanted a key, they'd still have to pay, and if they wanted, voting laws and things, but it would basically, so I don't know how many people that would affect. But it
Well, a member's
technically-
always gonna be able to vote for
Right.
rules.
Right, but in the deed restrictions, that were amended in 10/7/1990, it says all new property owners shall become members. So basically, the way it reads, technically, anybody who bought property prior to 10/7/1990 doesn't have to become a member.
We have non-mandatory
Right,
contracts.
So I said I would ask about
And
that.
then you also got the bylaws saying that yes, you must be a member from 1980, so.
Yeah, so those are things, like I said, we don't have to, but these are things that need to be addressed when we decide to start correcting things.
Just don't lean on any of them.
It was, so this came up with the big hoopla on Facebook about, sexual predators, offenders, and pedophiles, on the FDLE website. Don't know that there's any vetting going on with membership, so is there anything going on with membership? Are y'all looking at the FDLE website? There's 5 Florida statutes that say they can't live within 1,000 feet of a school, daycare, playground, or park. These parks are also considered, it's also under the umbrella of private parks. This would be a law enforcement thing, and we could put out notices. We need to make sure that, the FDLE website's being looked at frequently. I suggest that the people who mentioned it to me, they can be part of the FDLE team, and they can frequently go through the FDLE site. They can pull up the names, they can give it to the membership, and the key committee, the gate greeters, and make sure that these people are put on a banned list. And if they are living within one of our seven parks?
9 altogether.
9, there's 9 parks.
Both
If they're
sides.
living within 1,000 feet of our 9 parks, they technically have to move.
Well, doesn't their parole officer supposed to?
Now, that's where they're supposed to, but it's also us to make sure they're not getting keys. and
In the
getting
past,
keys.
we have had incidents where we corrected some of that, but we don't have a standard, operating process.
So what I would suggest, just like I said, we can address this at another meeting. I'm gonna email everybody this out. That we have a team, we could put it together in the neighborhood. It doesn't have to be anybody else on the board taking on any more responsibility, but somebody's gonna have to go through and put, because people get added to unfortunately, they get added to the FDLE website every day, and we need to make sure that they're not getting their keys, and we need to take their keys away if they are on the site.
If you become a member on FDLE site, you can request that you be notified if anybody moves within a certain radius of your house. So somebody could do that for each
Right.
park.
And so we need to put a team together in this neighborhood, because this is a neighborhood issue. This affects everybody and everybody's children.
And there are a lot of
No, I
predators
know,
in this
I know.
neighborhood.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I actually ran into one and we wanted to be friends. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the elephant in the room, because that was the last little bit, because it is technically new business.
You have all these problems
I'll
on
start
our
with
side.
this.
This one
I
is
don't have a dog in
okay.
this fight, so I want everybody to understand that I live within the code and the deed restrictions of TREFO. I don't have a short-term rental, I don't have a long-term rental, however, I do have friends who have them, and I do have friends who are against them. So I wanna just make sure that everybody understands that this topic affects both sides. And I initially thought that I was on a short-term rental committee, but now I'm realizing this has been a code enforcement issue, or a lack of code enforcement issue for decades. So the question everybody wants to know is, are short-term rentals considered businesses? Since the online
Hey,
right?
Bonnie, can I stop you there?
Yeah.
I spoke with the attorney today, and they asked us not to discuss, this matter due to, an order.
Okay.
So, been asked to just quash it until, they can review it and have a meeting.
Okay, well, my thing was, we need
the
to, I
guy
wanted
jumping
to,
the
well, my
hot
thing,
water
this,
heater.
okay, then this doesn't, I've said, I want to get all the questions and, I wanna get all questions and answers in writing from our legal counsel before we proceed with any short-term rental committee meeting. And I'd like to get all the answers, hopefully before April 1st, in case we do try to have the meeting for April.
And we're working on that
Yeah.
right now.
And that the attorney, I'd like to see tangible paperwork, because this has been such a, now I gotta scroll through, make sure I'm not gonna say anything I'm not supposed to. Yeah, so we need legal counsel when this happens, cause I'm not gonna speak on anything that clearly I know nothing about. Let's see. How are we gonna enforce this issue? Is it gonna be, complaint driven, blah, blah, blah. And then, so this is the very end, cause I'll skip over all that, so I don't say anything I'm not supposed to. Numerous members wanna see IDs checked at the gates, because people have said, well, how do we know who's supposed to be getting in the gates and who's not? Because this comes up with, it's always been an issue of who's selling the key, who's renting the key, who's leasing the key, who's coming in that's not a member. Do we have people who are on the FDLE website coming in? So I've asked people, how are we gonna scan this?
And that's gonna be the issue related to, who's in control of the key. The board,
Right.
Three River State Property Owners Association, controls the keys.
Right.
So the rules in managing the keys is through the Property Owners Association. So they can determine, how the key is handled based on the property.
But once it
The
leaves,
membership.
once it leaves the key committee's hands and it gets sent out in the mail and gets sent out to the houses, there's no control. Trupo doesn't have any control over that key anymore. So I'm gonna make a suggestion, or I can make a motion, that starting today, we start checking IDs at the gates.
Wait a second.
I
come down here.
So wait a minute, now, you're gonna come through the chair.
Okay.
So we're not gonna turn this
Okay.
thing upside down.
Because I don't know any
So-
other way to start
Sorry,
enforcing.
Glenn.
Okay, thank you.
That's my only.
Right.
That's the easiest, fastest way to figure out how to enforce this key and people coming into our parks that don't belong. Because Terry or whoever's running the gates, they don't know everybody's faces.
And
then-
specifically, what you're saying is the policy, the rule says that you have to be accompanied,
Right.
by the property owner.
So the property owner should be
So,
there.
see, that's gonna be the most important thing going forward as it relates to access to the park.
So we should have an access list that the gate greeters have, and then we should have a band list that the gate greeters have.
Right, now our next, key day will be, our next, park, inspection, as it relates to, coming through the gates with, security's gonna be in May. So that's gonna start the season. So we've got a little bit of time to really write this out, how we wanna do this.
So that's my,
So we can discuss this and come up with some format for the next meeting.
because I just
Which will
don't
be in
know,
April.
unless anybody else has
No,
any
listen,
other
listen,
ideas.
listen. Yeah, because it's gotten to be to the point where we've gone from 125 members to 900.
And then double that, and double that, and double that, and who's giving the
Exactly.
key out, and now we've got a problem.
Right, some properties have 20, 30 people coming.
Because actually, this whole issue with the hot potato that Ricky was handed here on the board is, it started with the key access and the people who aren't supposed to be in the parks.
Right.
So it's a multi-layered onion, but I think the main way that we can get control over who's supposed to be in our parks and who's not is to have a list of people who are allowed and a list of people who aren't allowed. And the only way to make sure those people are in fact those people is by checking IDs.
So, Ms. Hester,
Yeah,
how do you see that?
I think we don't have a lot of trouble at the gates.
Well, it's all about knowing what you know.
How are people gonna
So-
float down the river carrying their ID?
They could keep it on their phone.
We're gonna need to have a discussion, like I said, before the next meeting to see how we can,
Because there's no enforcement if you don't have control over the key.
What's your thoughts, Bonnie?
What's a band list? I mean,
That would be if we had an FDLE list, if we had people who,
But they wouldn't have a key anyway.
well, they probably do, we don't know.
Yeah.
If they're a property owner.
If they're a property owner, I'm sure they have a key, they just hope they haven't gotten caught yet.
I know several that do for sure, 100%.
Yeah, so if we're going to tackle the issue of code enforcement and who's supposed to have a key and who's not, and who's
You gonna have
selling
pictures
keys
on the
and
keys
who's
to
not.
know who that is?
I mean, we're gonna get, trust me, I'm getting kicked back 360 degrees right now,
Well, then on
so.
the first weekend, you get to sit at the gate with the great greeter. But
Well,
I
I think it's
told-
all,
I told them
whatever.
No, they're getting
Check
paid, they're getting
Firm Pad.
Wait a minute, so whatever.
Firm Pad thing,
there
I
has to be one heck
Those
of
are
an
cheap now.
education program.
And you can get a lock
For
on
people to
it.
understand.
Everybody's
what
thumb pads on
Go
it.
down
Yeah.
any one of these roads, they've got, because you don't want to catch anybody by surprise.
Well, yeah, we would have to
So
put it out in a
keys too.
newsletter, and go bring
But-
your
but-
ID.
but we don't know what it
until you
is
work out the
just yet.
bugs. Right.
Till we get to it, so, yes, ma'am.
I just had a suggestion shy of driver's licenses or whatever. If you're going down that vein, it would be an expense, but you could do laminated IDs for each member that you give a key, and they could have it on a lanyard that would be laminated.
We used to.
That could go.
And that was another suggestion.
Yeah, that could.
But that's
Yeah,
not
but
really
those are
hard.
things that we can
Right.
discuss with
How
that
to.
group of Terry, I mean, I know we got.
But
we're-
it won't
we're
take a
loaded.
driver's
But this has to be
We've got a
addressed.
season
Yeah.
coming up here, our first dates are Memorial Day, is that correct? So we've got, very short time to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take, it's a process, but it has to start now. I mean, if we're gonna do, if we're
I even
if we're
got some
looking
holes.
into
They used
all
to give us
kinds
little
of
stickers
things
to put on the car too, so you
Well,
like.
let's look at this, let's look at the steps,
Who
yeah,
belongs
because
on
we
Park
already
Street.
run a lot of folks.
Yeah. That's where it starts.
Enforcing that, that's what we're gonna have to go.
Well, they haven't
with the
enforced
bylaw. Say
anything.
The member is the one that has to escort the people.
But unless the Great Gate Readers know 950 faces
Well,
by their name.
Terry,
She probably knows 800 of them, but there's 100 more, and then all the extra
Well,
ones.
you know,
Okay.
I'm the only one that I don't, I see more people than giving the gate readers their name. And they won't even give me their name or their key number.
Yeah, and that's another point I wanted to bring up too, because the problem that Bill is having in some of these parks, when he has somebody that's violating the rules, you can't get their name, you can't get the key number, can't get information, and they.
Now, are you
and
calling the
they-
law and having them trespassed if they're not giving you any
Well, that's,
information?
We have a situation with the sheriffs, they don't wanna trespass people. So let's
gonna
go,
consider the civil,
so we're gonna have to meet with the sheriffs.
Because they're not
and
doing it.
get
You
this
just-
worked out through the attorneys. We
Both
still,
have to
we still
step
can't
over
get an
the
answer.
But that's probably a few.
I'll
We
show
can
you the
start
video. I'll show you the
somehow
video. Explain it to Glenn. I
The main
explained it
people
to
that
him.
we
I'll show you the
don't
video
want
of
to
it.
hear, the people who were renting, the people who were selling and renting the keys. I know a lady at the keg room that told me she buys her key from somebody in this neighborhood every year. So it's, you
Why
know,
don't you turn over names?
clear, because I don't know her name. She was talking, oh, where do y'all live at, you know? And she didn't, then after she figured out that we live there, you know, so I don't know her name. I mean, I said no face.
Well, I didn't know a lot of people get angry at that gate, cause you got.
Have you ever had
Hey, I
anybody?
got 2 kids now, you tell me I can't let my 2 kids come down here and come through this gate unless I'm not with them?
I didn't tell you anything.
No, that's what you're
Okay.
saying.
I'm just
But
saying,
you also have on
we've
the
got a
other hand,
process
you've got
that
all
we've
the
got
other
to- we've got
members
to go
yelling.
through.
My daughter's 45 years old, she don't bring with my 2 kids that I adopted. You tell me she can't come through that gate
If she
unless
has,
I'm
if she,
with her?
well, maybe Trico needs to have an ID card then. I don't know, how are we going to be able to keep people out of the parks who don't belong in our parks?
So this is
if
gonna
we
be a
don't-
bigger discussion.
Yeah.
We can't do
But it has to be addressed, if we're gonna,
And we
this,
do have to address it.
this is the first thing before we
Yes,
move on into any, because if you wanna move on to anything else that I'm not allowed to talk about right now, we have to figure out who is allowed in our parks and who aren't.
Maybe retinal scan might work.
I would do it.
But, because if we're not gonna do the basic, then there's no reason to move forward with everything else
Understood,
that
very
we're
well,
talking
very well
about.
taken. Okay, we'll move on then to, communications.
Oh, I just had a membership of
Okay.
members. Okay, so for this month, for the Columbia County side, we're at 609 members. Swanee County side, we're at 208 members. And we are at a total of 817 members.
Sure went up quick from the last one. Fast.
Well, remember we were sick?
That's, yeah, wow.
We've been busy.
817's a pretty good number for this time of year.
Yeah,
I would
that's what I
say.
said.
Very high number.
We're
Good
still
job.
coming in.
Are y'all okay? Y'all over your sickness? Any more sick people?
I think we're getting sick, yeah.
Okay. There's definitely something going around. So the renovations of the clubhouse, just to give everyone an idea, we ripped all of the drywall out, we're ripping out all of the electric, and we're replacing the windows, it's all new drywall, and floor, ceiling, walls, and everything inside. So we'll put 2 mini splits in, and all new lighting, and a new camera system, 360 camera in the center of the building. Things are moving along very well. We've got it stripped and ready for the next phase, which would be bucking out the windows and framing up for the drywall. And then we'll move on next to the electric, and then the electric will be before the drywall, and then we'll finish the drywall, put up fixtures, and the air conditioning will go in place, and then the floor will go in last. that's about where we are. We're moving along pretty good. We've got some very good bids from folks on the project so far. And so we're about ready to start on the next phase, which would be putting the windows in. Any questions on the renovations?
Is there ETA on any of it, or just kind of?
Just as soon as it happens, fine.
River time?
Yeah. We're moving along pretty well. We've got all the disciplines down and we understand exactly where we're going with it, so pretty well. Is there anything else? There's guidelines for use of treatment facilities. You've already pretty much discussed that or not? Somebody put that on the agenda?
No, as far as like people, using this, that it
Yeah.
can't be for, financial gain.
No, can't be for commercial use, no. Same thing that was mentioned about somebody, renting out, a government member could not reserve a good place and then rent it out or something.
Correct.
It cannot happen. And then there's gotta be consequences with that. So as we're going through right now, the attorneys are gonna be working very, very close with us now on a couple of issues. So as it relates to that, we're gonna have to find a way to put teeth in these things so we can make it happen. Because when people are violating serious rules, there is ways that they can lose their membership. And we should have to send them a letter. You'll have to get a warning. You'll have to go through a short-term process. They can lose their membership for a year or so, and then it just gets worse and worse. So it's a very arduous process to follow, but it's something that we're going to have to do, or we'll lose complete control. Got a very nice neighborhood, got a lot of potential, so we need to kind of beef things up. You mentioned about the audit. Probably just to go back to that. If everyone feels good about it, probably at the end of 2025, if the board wants to spend the money, I wouldn't have a problem at all. As far as I'm concerned, we get everything digitized, that may make it a little less expensive by having it digitized. And it's still gonna be up there, but it's not gonna be cheap to full-blown audit. I think some of the numbers we had before were $10,000–$15,000.
What?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
$15,000?
Yeah. These guys are not cheap, I'm telling you. So to get the audit that you're requesting on this.
No, it's one that was stated by the law, not me.
No, but I'm just saying that's cost of doing.
We had a member volunteer to pay for it all for free.
So we have what now, a member that's volunteered to pay for it all?
Yeah, we had a member that volunteered to pay for it all. I got it recorded.
And then we need to, certainly, at the end of this year, let's contact that member, let them put a check in the bank and we'll go forward. All right, yes,
I've got a
Hilda?
question. When she says she's gonna send everybody all this, do you want that as part of the meeting minutes?
If she sends that, it doesn't have to be part of the meeting minutes, you can just highlight in 2 or 3 words the topic. But if she sends you any material like that, you'll need to file it.
Well, I'll have to take the redacted parts
If you
out.
send it, you'll have to file it. You'll have to file it.
And really, like with your minutes, it's just kind of abbreviated, it's just kind of what took place, what occurred, not really he said, she
No,
said.
I understand. I'm asking specifically for her report, which is several pages long. Do I add that to my minutes? Cause that's the easiest thing for me to do, is just to take her stuff and put it in my minutes.
I'll give it to you in a Word document so you can copy and paste.
If you pull the other parts out, then yes.
The PDF.
Yeah, I'll redact it.
Exactly.
I'm not.
But you don't need to try to write that up. It's just it's now a legal document. So you'll need to make sure that we have it filed along with the
So that
meeting.
means I have to put it in my minutes, cause I don't know how else it gets filed.
Okay, all right. That's fine. Okay, we'll move on then. Any property owners want to address the board?
I do.
Sure.
I gotta get up off my skateboard.
And you got 2 minutes now, because we're.
Well, it might take me that long.
So you need to hurry up and
Skateboard
get up.
fell, somebody's getting hands on the old bolt on the bike path itself, so,
You want me to start your time now?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, I had some questions, but there's one thing that I gotta say. I have a boogie board, right, and a bikini, and I come down and I have my key hooked into my boogie board, linear thing. I can't carry no ID, I can't be carrying, I don't want no thing hanging on my neck. So, I'm saying, I don't wanna do that. So then you say, well, then what can we do for you that I'm saying, well, take my picture and stick it by my name or something. So then they go, oh, yeah, that's her, okay, go. That's all I'm saying. I can't carry all this crap to the river and enjoy myself.
We
You
don't
can't
have
take
a-
my enjoyment away.
Leanne,
So-
we don't have a process now, and you're
I'm just-
voicing your opinion.
I'm
and
just
your-
saying,
Whatever, so that's
that's
good.
gonna come up. A lot of people are like, dude,
Sure.
I can't, you know, I
Okay.
don't wanna put it out there.
All
So why not just take a little tiny picture and stick it next to the person's daggone name or something for the great gators can see that person, that way they don't have to be,
We'll discuss that as a
yeah.
creative
Okay,
procedure.
why does everyone get 2 keys? I mean, the articles say members, spouse, or members, property owners, a member, or, not and, or their spouse. So only one of them gets the vote as a membership, only one of them gets a key, so you're given a spare key, so I'm like, mine just sits there, and I'm like, why do I have 2 keys?
Leanne, because sometimes husband and wife don't talk.
Yeah.
One's fishing while the other one's floating.
Yeah, but do you realize though, when you give 2 keys out, they're selling that other key, so you're just giving them an opportunity to do it. And if you just only give everybody, 1 member gets 1 key, and only 1 membership per household, 1 key per house. Too bad, if you lose it, come try to buy another one.
You don't get another one.
Better
You don't
vetting
get
at the gates will help that too.
Okay, your time's up. Thank you, though. We take that into consideration. Anybody else?
And another thing, I'm grandfathered in. Don't even come at me with those fraudulent stinking 1990s.
Wait a minute,
I totally
be nice.
disagree.
Be nice, your
I am.
time's up, okay? You
Okay,
did,
but
you
I'm
did
gonna tell
good,
you.
so everything's fine.
I came in.
Anybody else care to
Nobody's
speak to the board?
And I never agreed. to
Okay,
those
board
things.
members,
Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so.
And what is your name?
My name's Brad.
Brad.
I live over on Washington Ave,
Okay.
so, yeah. So, and you're all speaking to a lawyer, so they'll let you know what's going on. But I just wanted the question of is an Airbnb, or a short-term rental, is it a business? And the answer is yes and no, depends on the circumstances, right? And so a hosted rental is a legally distinct definition by Florida Law Statute 212.03 and Statute 509.134B that renting only a portion of your primary residence, and that's very important, primary residence or your part of your property, does not require a business license and it is not a legal business entity. The IRS classifies short-term rentals without significant services, which is like a maid and stuff like a hotel, right? Without significant services as just rental income on Schedule E, same as long-term rentals, and not as business income requiring Schedule C tax filing. So not all short-term rentals are in violation of our deed restrictions. And if we do a full ban, which I've seen a lot of people calling for, that would be unequal enforcement of our TREPO deed restrictions. In regards to Florida Statute 720, Homeowners Associations Act, the legal precedent has already been set that the POA cannot selectively pick and choose which violations or deed restrictions to enforce. So in short-term, rental restrictions are enforced, that if the piles of garbage in people's lawns and the drugs and the shootings that are happening while my kids are out in the yard playing, which ooh man. Anyway, so the shooting, my kids are dodging bullets, and we're worried about short-term rentals, man. And so, but anyway, so the economic argument is that poverty brings drugs and crime and shootings, and prosperity raises property values and motivates people to improve their properties. And so Florida tourism is huge, and personally, I'd rather see a short-term rental pop up next door to me than another meth lab. And so, in short, not all short-term rentals are in violation of our deed restrictions. This would be an unequal enforcement of the deed restrictions, and if the ban moves forward, just the people that are around here would come in, right? And so anyway, that's that. And if it's the parks we're worried about, it's not Airbnbers that are flooding the parks. I get proposed propositions 10 to 12 times a year to buy my key by people in Brantford, O'Brien, Fort White, like everywhere except the Airbnbers. They come in groups of 1 to 4 at the most, and they're just looking to, and again, there are some issues or some people that abuse that. And again, I think we can come up with a compromise as a community, as a group, which doesn't punish one or the other. Like, we can do this. We can figure this out. It's not that hard. It's actually precedent has been set all over the country, where lots of communities have dealt with this. They've come together and figured it out. Sorry, I'm over my time.
Thank you.
I have all the statutes here.
That's great.
I have all the things here too.
What's your solution? What's your solution?
So there are several
We're not gonna get-
solutions.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're not
Can't go member to member.
So I only have like 4 or 5 copies.
So does anyone else,
I need one.
does anyone else want to speak to the board?
Thank you.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Motion here, second here. Tony Matthews,
Anyone
all
else?
Charlie,
Glenn, did you
so we're
want
adjourned.
to-
No, good.
Yes, I'd like that.
Who?
Okay, sure. Sorry. I got more, I'll get you more. Anyone who needs more, just,
Oh, excuse
someone
me.
get ahold of me and I'll get you more. Let me,
Leanne, you were asking about that.
Brad, what's your number?
alright, just got a new one. 352-575-3833.
Excuse me.